Digimon Seekers Chapter 4, Part 4. It was over in an instant. Aryuman's twin blades fell to the ground. Aryuman, wings broken, plunged toward the networked seas, ultimately slamming into the gateway. Its long body bounced onto the ground, where it lay unconscious. Yulin, too, was knocked out deep inside the Digicore. In an instant, Aryumon regressed to its rookie state, either due to the damage it sustained or an instinctive desire to protect Yulin by extending her mind-linking time. Doragoramon also reverted to Doramon upon seeing Ryudamon lying on the ground. The Digicore is intact, Doramon said as Kosuke hololized himself beside his partner. I know you can't hear me, but I'm going to restrain you, Yulin, Kosuke said. He activated a piece of software that immediately restrained Ryudamon. The software was identical to the one used to restrain Machine Dramon on the X Nation's data server. It didn't allow anyone to control Ryudamon so long as Yulin was mind-linked, but it would prevent Ryudamon from moving. Kosuke breathed a slight sigh of relief. One part of the plan was complete. Apologies, Ryudamon. This was the only way, Doramon said, though they did not seem particularly remorseful. Operation Tartarus, Phase 2 complete. Doramon, commence Phase 3. Kosuke ordered. Copy, partner. Continuing Operation Tartarus. A note that mind-link uptime is higher than anticipated, yet still within acceptable parameters. Even for a SS-class mind-linker like Tartarus, the fight with Aryumon had been taxing. He still more than enough time left to do what needed to be done. Aryumon was a formidable foe, Doramon said, looking down at the restrained Ryudamon. Indeed. Sorry to put you through that a second time. Had we not been mind-linked, I wouldn't have made it. I'm sure of it, Doramon said, not quite saying what they wanted to say. Aryumon was so powerful because they were mind-linked to Yulin, but this time the very source of their strength was a liability that cost them the fight. That so long as Yulin harbored regret in her heart, she would never be able to stop Kosuke on his relentless quest to save Saya. Are you alive, Marvin? Doramon said over the SOC leaders' chat. Barely, came his reply. Looks like we've still got plenty of time. The SOC gathered to check in with one another and assess the situation before they proceeded. Aryuman, the Digipolice's heavyweight, defeated and restrained. AG's Digivolved Solar Garment put a stop to the two mind-linked High Commandermen. The Digipolice forces were down about a third of the officers they came with. The SOC waved off a few mega-level leaders who were approaching their mind-link limits. The only ones left were Marvin, AG, and a select few others who held back in the first phase so they'd be able to lead the rest of the crew in later phases. The initial fighting had been fierce, and they now lacked the power to strike a definitive blow against the Digipolice. The Digimon of the Wall. Slum still fought with vigor, but the codecrackers Tartarus and AG incited, though their ranks continued to swell, were losing steam in the face of fierce gatekeeper resistance. The turning point's approaching, Doramon said gravely. The SOC couldn't risk the tide of battle shifting against them, and this was Doramon's nudge to get them to move to the next phase. Time for the main event, Kosuke replied. Phase 3 of our story. Doramon and Kosuke nodded at one another, their years together speaking for them. Marvin, bring AG over here, Doramon barked. You got it. I'll strap a little protective charm to him and get him over to you. You guys don't need to lift a finger. You're gonna use you-know-what, right? What? Oh, of course. When, if not now? Marvin activated a tool from his suite, and a guttural, unearthly groan flooded the open chat airwaves. Satsuki was forced to make a decision as a field commander. The left-wing platoon was half destroyed, with a total loss of nearly 30% of its strength. Tactically, it is determined to be annihilated. There is no way to make up for the loss of the two High Commandramon mind linkers that were considered to be the main force. Nagasumi Eiji. I grit my teeth. Eiji Nagasumi's partner Digimon should have been a champion. Although it is unconfirmed information, it digivolutioned into Ultimate when it confronted the hacker judge, but as a mind link, it lost control and should have failed. You achieved Ultimate in such a short period of time? Jump over the A-class and become an S-class cracker. This means that Eiji Nagasumi has digivolution to a level comparable to Satsuki. That put him on Satsuki's level. She should have crushed him back in the 9th district when she had the chance. Deputy Squad Leader Tamahime, came a somewhat uneasy voice over comms. Go ahead. The worst had come to pass. Tartarus's Doragoraman defeated Squad Leader Yulin. The Digipolice had no contingency plan for this nightmarish development. They couldn't possibly lose. They had superior firepower. They'd quashed every single rebellion through sheer force until now. At least that's how it worked in the real world. The digital world proved much different. There were no rules of engagement or laws to be followed. This was war. Left flank, retreat and regroup with the remaining forces. Right flank and center, take care of the attacking gatekeepers. It was a small mercy that they were no longer under attack from the SOC. She made the call. All units, commence retreat upon regrouping. But Deputy Squad Leader, that's an order. From me and the squad leader, I will hear no objections. Satsuki and Yulin agreed upon 3 things prior to embarking on the mission. First, that Satsuki would take command of all the Digipolice's units. Second, that she would keep Numemon in their champion form and avoid engaging the enemy so she could remain mind-linked for as long as possible. Third, in the event that Yulin and Uryumon fell in battle, Satsuki was to order a retreat. The SOC's taken squad leader prisoner. I know! That's why there's no other choice, Satsuki screamed, as much to convince herself as to make her orders heard. The balance of power had swung toward the SOC. Fighting any longer would result in total defeat. It went without saying that Yulin understood her deputy's desire to protect her boss at all costs. She'd gone her own way to set up the Digipolice unit inside the police, which rendered her a pariah among nearly all her superiors, but an idol to her officers. Nevertheless, they were part of the Digipolice and the police at large. Orders were orders. This is Tamahime. Tachibana, Sakurada, can you move? Apologies, Deputy Squad Leader, they said simultaneously, overcome with guilt. Not your fault. Retreat immediately, both of you. I'll cover you. But that's an order, not an invitation to negotiate. Get moving. She watched as they made their way aboard the cargo drayman and retreated. Then the battered left flank, as the remaining forces provided cover for the retreat. Where'd you go, AG? SEALs 1, this is Tamahime. Copy Tamahime. We have eyes on squad leader. Not quite sure what's happening, the SEALs drayman's partner replied. What do you mean? It appears Tartarus has hololyzed and is speaking with SOC leadership. It looks like they're ready to make their next move. Keep watching, but retreat immediately the second things get hot. Marvin kept AG covered as he joined up with Tartarus and the others. He noticed Dorogoramon had reverted to Doramon and saw that Kosuke's hololyzed avatar was a dead ringer for the man himself. Okay, I fetched and delivered the new kid. I should get going, Marvin said, watching the once again just Lugumon trot up to the others. The SOC leaders had to tap out for now. Thanks. What are you off to? Gotta pick my kid up from school. Busy. Sorry to take so much time out of your day. It's fine. I've got a good story to tell him once they're older. I can say I held my head high and put up a hell of a fight. I'm glad you see it that way. The Digipolice retreating seems as good a time as any to get out of here. I'll catch you later, Marvin said with a smile as his Digimon left. Are you really retreating, Satsuki? AG hololyzed himself and stood next to Lugumon. He looked at the cargo drayman full of Digipolice units as it began its retreat. AG looked back at the restrained, still unconscious Ryudamon. The police preach that a superior's orders are absolute, unlike codecrackers who make their own calls, Tartarus said, glancing down at Rudamon. Is this Digimon okay? And their squad leader? It's just unconscious. The Digicore is intact. I put some restraints on it just to be safe, Tartarus said, to AG's relief. So, what now? Lugumon asked. Operation Tartarus was proceeding as planned. It was time for the main event, if not the final phase. It should be obvious that the next step is to crack the gateway, Doramon said coldly. All right then. This time, we're going to use the old interfaces on the prototype Digimon to access a back door to the digital world. Prototype? Lugumon asked. Old interfaces? AG chimed in. Puzzled, they turned to look at one another. What, you didn't know? Doramon asked, taken aback. Don't you get all high and mighty just because you knew something we didn't. End your little power trip and tell me what's going on, Lugumon snapped. I just thought you would have heard something about it from Professor Ryusenji, Doramon protested, stoking Lugumon's ire. Oh, hang on, AG chirped as he caught Lugumon in a headlock to prevent them from charging Doramon. You mean this thing on their forehead? He said, his finger pointing at the wolf's head. Their interface matched the ones on Doramon and Ryudamon. Precisely, Doramon nodded. Digimon with those interfaces are known as prototype Digimon. So like, they're not finalized or something? And why is my interface considered old? Lugamon's mood turned sour, likely thinking they were being called an outdated piece of junk. It just means it was based on an older version of the digital world. It does not necessarily imply inferiority, Dorumon calmly replied. Lugamon held their tongue. Latest doesn't always mean best, and because of their age, these old interfaces represent a massive hole in the digital world's security. A hole in the security, like the vortexes, back doors that lead to the depths. We'll slip in where the system administrator can't see, Tartarus explained. So there are places the admin can't see, AG chirped, excited by the thought. So your old interface is old like some sort of legendary power. Lugamon, you're just as incredible as I knew you were. Yeah, I know I'm incredible. What of it? Lugamon said, polishing the interface on their forehead with their front paw like a cat washing its face. Cracking the gateway requires 3 keys in the form of 3 types of prototype Digimon to be present at the same time: data, vaccine, and virus. Dorumon cut in, continuing their explanation now that Lugamon was convinced they weren't being denigrated. The 3 rivals, eh? Eiji said, recalling the 3 hololized objects that floated in DDL's lobby, each with a different type written on it. I'm the data type. The restrained Ryudamon here is the vaccine type, and Lugamon, you are the virus type. Got it. So what do we have to do? Eiji said, eager to move things along. Now that he was an S-class code cracker, he could do anything, and he was ready to run headlong at their goal. You don't need to do anything. Sorry? Eiji asked blankly, the wind instantly taken out of his sails. Tartarus will handle the cracking of the gateway itself. We prototype Digimon are simply the intermediaries through which the cracking will occur. Ah, fair enough. That's why it's okay for Ryudamon here to keep napping, Lugamon said, putting the pieces together. Precisely. The police would never agree to crack the gateway in the first place. Keeping them restrained allows us to use the interface, and that's all we need. That explained why defeat wasn't enough, Eiji supposed. Okay, so you'll need Lugamon's interface? What should I do? Eiji asked, feeling a bit lost. Lugamon and Dorumon exchanged a glance. Pray, Lugamon said. Yes, pray, Dorumon added. Lugamon, Dorumon, and the restrained Ryudamon positioned themselves in a triangle formation with a hololized Kosuke at its center. You could have just told me about all this prototype business in the first place, you know, Eiji grumbled. He had too much time on his hands now. We couldn't simply gather any 3 prototype Digimon of different types and use their interfaces. They must all be capable of digivolving to their ultimate forms as well, Dorumon said. Oh, I see. So you were waiting for Solo Garmin to show up? Yes. Absent that digivolution, this wouldn't have worked. That explained the how, but not the why. Why would only Digimon capable of digivolving to ultimate work? There were theories that long ago, Digimon in the digital world could only digivolve as far as their ultimate forms. Perhaps that was it, and Dorumon and Ryudamon's prototypical nature allowed them to push past that limit to reach mega level. Commencing Operation Tartarus, Phase 3, Kosuke announced. There is no canceling the process once we begin. Dorumon and Lugamon will see their attack power drop to 0 until the gateway is cracked. We're counting on you, the rest of the SOC, to see us through. That means you, Marvin. Counting on you, Songsmith. Got you covered. Dorumon, Eiji, keep our leader safe. A low rumble emerged from the gateway as a new Digimon joined the fray. The SOC members closed ranks around the leadership in order to shield them from the gigantic machine-type threat. Is that Machine-Dramon? The outline of the Digimon stirred faint memories of the attack on the X-Nation server. But Machine-Dramon was destroyed. Wasn't it? No, it just looks similar. You've seen it before, Lugamon? The red armor, that has to be Chaos Draemon, Mega, Machine, Virus. The colossal machine-type Digimon resembled a bipedal carnivorous dinosaur. It ran a more autonomous version of Machine Draemon's programming tuned for maximum destruction. Most of its body was comprised of red Digizoid, a rare digital world metal created by twice refining chrome Digizoid and turning it the color of blood. It repels most any attack, and Chaos Draemon itself is designed to destroy any and all targets. Its special move fires twin Dreadnought-class energy from both its shoulder cannons in a move called Hyper Infinity Cannon. Twin beams of blood-red energy shot through the sky, unleashing pure destruction upon the gatekeepers. The explosions continued to tear through their tightly formed ranks. It was as though all the stars in the sky exploded and scattered further out into the vacuum of space. A mega-level Chaos Draemon. So this is what the SOC was after when they were collecting state-secret Digimon. But who on earth is mind-linked to it? Ag said, stunned. This one's a bot, Marvin said over chat from his mind-linked Air Digimon. A bot? Wait, don't tell me you're controlling it? Yup, this one's too volatile. Nobody could possibly mind. Oop! Marvin cut himself short as Chaos Draymond let out a roar. That was enough to send the remaining Digimon from the wall slum scattering like so many prey escaping a predator. This Digimon was not to be trifled with, and it was loaded with an AI attack routine that was neither friend nor foe. Marvin struggled to control it himself. Good a time as any, Lugamon muttered under their breath as they watched the other Digimon flee. What about the Digimon in the 9th district? Ag asked. I told him to run the second anything looked dicey. Don't worry. Digimon in the wall slum don't do anything that doesn't benefit him personally, Lugamon said with a knowing smile. Chaos Draymond's a machine type. It's responsive to software tools just like an android type. So long as I can keep an eye on it and feed it commands as needed, we'll be fine. Marvin used his software to pilot Chaos Draymond toward the center of the gateway area, ensuring it would be a convenient target for any remaining enemies in the area. The red Digizoid would make a mockery of any enemy foolish enough to strike it. A single Digimon changed the complexion of the entire battlefield in an instant. We've got until you know who shows up, Tartarus, Marvin said, using a favored euphemism. Don't take all day. Sorry, Marvin. Let's go, Ag, Kosuke barked before turning to Ryudamon. Sorry, Yulin. I just need to borrow your consciousnesses and Digicore. This was no longer an experiment. It was the first and last chance he had. They were going to crack the gateway, and hopefully before they became so much rust on the ultimate gatekeeper's blade. With any luck, you-know-who wouldn't even show up. Everyone began their own mental countdown. Satisfied that everyone had their partners' backs covered, Kosuke opened a virtual monitor and entered a command. Crack gateway. End of Chapter 4, Part 4.